Iptosis. Iptosis. Okay, everybody, this is probably going to be boring unless you are a an advanced level student or somebody who's on their way, or if you are just very um, attuned to grammar and interested in these kinds of things. The cases are something that you either are going to learn in a very dry fashion through charts or through experience. But one thing is certain, you cannot speak or understand Greek unless you understand how these operate. It says here, this technical term applies to different forms that a noun or adjective can have. It can also apply to things like participles and articles, which I don't want to get into now as this is introductory. Um, and you should also watch the slideshows on the genders that I have elsewhere on this channel. So, as I'll just summarize what's on the slide here, when we change the ending of a noun in Greek, as well as other languages like Latin, we can change its function in a sentence. English does not do this. We do have some similar instances. For example, when we put an apostrophe S at the end of a noun, we have shown possession. And in technical terms, that's called the genitive singular. If we put an S apostrophe, we've done something called the genitive plural. We're showing what a group of people or a group of things um, has or is in possession of. So we do have in the personal pronouns some examples. For example, I. I is only used when it's the subject of the sentence, like I like pizza. Uh, Mine is used to show possession. It is rarely used as a subject, although I suppose it could be. Again, English isn't going to adhere to the rules of cases. Me can only be used when it's the object of the sentence. So right now, you are listening to me. Um, Even though it's an object of sorts, that's the direct object. Um, the point is that the way it's spelled tells us what kind of word it is. And again, Greek will be much more difficult in this respect because all nouns, all adjectives, or almost all of them, will have these interchangeable endings. So let's take a look, and we'll use the masculine, which may or may not be a good example because the masculine is the most difficult of the genders, depending on whom you ask. So if you've seen the slideshow on the masculine, you'll know that there are three main endings. One of them is as, like the name Andreas. So if we look at it here in its enikos form, that's the singular, we can see the nominative, also called the onomastiki. And the nominative that we see here, the word that we see here is ominas, the month. This is what you'll see when you use your Google or Bing translators. This is what you'll see in the dictionary. You get this first form. Now, ominas in this form can only be used when it's the subject of the sentence. Okay, so the nominative is the case of the subject. That is, it is the form of the word when it is the subject of the sentence. And just like my beautifully written sentence here, the duck bit the rhinoceros. The subject is the duck. That's the one that did the biting. Okay. Then we move on to our genitive, our yeniki ptosi. And the genitive, you can see, changes a little bit. We drop the o from ominas and we replace it with a tu. And we add a sigma to the end. And we wind up with tu mina. So this is the equivalent of something that belongs to the month, of the month, the day of the month, the name of the month. The genitive is the case of possession. That is, it's the form of the word when it is used to show what an object possesses. similar to the apostrophe S. So the man's son is polite, or the son of the man is polite. Both of these show possession. Both of them are genitive. We then move on to the accusative, or the etiatiki ptosi. And this one can be a little tricky because it looks very similar to the neuter, which is not addressed here but is addressed elsewhere. We have ton mina. If you were studying very formal or older Greek, certainly ancient Greek, you would have ton minan with the ni sound at the end of those words. The accusative is the case of the direct object. In other words, it is the form of the word when it is used to show the object of a sentence. For example, that pihi that you see there is paradigmatos chari, exempla gratis. For example, I kicked the canary. I am the subject. Kicked is obviously the verb, and the canary is the thing that received the kicking. It's the object of the sentence. The fourth case that we have here is the vocative, the klitikiptosi. Okay, and it says here, o mina. Now that o is not necessary, but this is basically your OH used when addressing someone. So you can see that the alpha stays there. The alpha doesn't go anywhere, but the sigma from the nominative is gone. And again, this is just in the masculine. So the vocative is the case of address. That is, it is the form of the word used when something is being spoken to. Paradigmatos chari, mama, can I have a cookie? I am the subject. A cookie is the object, but mama is the addressee, the thing or person being spoken to. Okay, so those are the four main cases. There are others, but for modern Greek and for our purposes, these four are good enough. Now, they also have, these are the singular forms in the eniko, but we also have forms in the plithindiko. The plithindikos is the plural. So, our nominative plural is imines. So, o minas is now changed to imines. Okay, this is the months when months is the subject of the sentence. The genitive plural becomes ton minon. Now, the good thing about this one, you can see that there's an omega ni at the end of ton and a minon. Fortunately, that one will stay the same in all genders. So masculine, feminine, neuter. When we are in the plural, using the genitive, they'll all have the same ending. So this is, again, talking about something that belongs to a group. Okay, and we'll see an example in a moment. Now we're at the accusative plural, the etiatiki. Ton mina becomes tous mines. So tous mines, the months. For example, I write down the months or something like that. What's a little difficult and takes some getting used to is that in Greek you could start the sentence with the accusative. You can actually start with anything. Word order in Greek is very flexible, very forgiving. And then here we are again with the vocative, with the klitiki. This is kind of an odd example because you probably would never speak to the months or even to 1 month. But if you were to speak to the months, you would say this, oh, months, how quickly you go by. And this would be oh, mines. Now, the thing to remember about the klitiki, the vocative, is that 98% of the time, it's exactly the same as the nominative. So the vocative plural is the same as the nominative plural. The vocative plural is the same as the nominative plural, and so on. Okay. And here are some examples. You could just pause this and look at them to see examples of how the cases are used. But just to do a few at the top, ominas, inekrios, the month is cold. So it's the subject not because it's the first noun in the sentence. It's the subject because it has o and as, and that tells us that it's masculine, it's nominative, and it's singular. You could easily say ine krios o minas or krios ine o minas. It doesn't matter. Okay, and as, if you've been watching the other slideshows about gender, you'll know that as is not the only way that masculine nouns end. We So if we take a look at a bigger chart here of the masculine, across the top we have the three most common endings, as, is, and os. Now it looks kind of daunting when you have this really big chart to look at. Some people just try to memorize all of them. It's fine, it works, but it really does take a long time to do it that way. There are some things that'll help you. You can see the red boxes at the bottom in the genitive plural all have the omega ni. So this is true in not just all the masculine, but all the feminine and all the neuter. So that's one thing that'll help you and save you some time. The yellow boxes at the top show us the three different vowels that crop up near the end, the a, I, and the o, and we can identify these as nominatives because of the sigma that's there. As, is, and os. Now, again, it'll vary from gender between genders, and um, there are certainly exceptions, but these are pretty good things to keep in mind. These are some of the stable patterns that you'll see. And then you can see down here in the plural of the as and is words, the endings are the same. Now there's a reason for that. Ita and alpha used to be the same letter. Ita came into Greek very, very late. So originally these would all have been alpha. The one on the right, the os words, these are the ones that vary a little bit in the endings. So it's just a chart that you can use for reference. I recommend recopying it and knowing how the cases work, knowing what the difference is between o uranos, the sky or heaven, and tu uranu and ton urano. Okay, so remember, these are not the only endings, but they're among the most common ones. Remember them with names like Andreas for us, Dimitris for is, and Yorgos for os. The accents will move. We're not going to talk about that for quite a while, but there's a formula for that as well. And the main part of this, the main focus of this slideshow was again to show you the four main cases that are used in modern Greek: nominative, genitive, accusative, vocative. Um, Google Translate will not help you with these. None of the translators will. You'll get the nominative. If you have a really good paper dictionary, you might also get the genitive. Um, I sometimes get asked about the dative case, which I have avoided here. It is sometimes used in modern Greek, but rarely. And we'll talk about that more in the ancient Greek slideshows. So that's it. Thank you very much. Telos!